Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to acknowledge the declaration of a quorum. Just open it up with public comment with Peg Moulton requesting the floor.
Thank you. My name is Peg Moulton. I am the Heidelberg Township representative for the York County Rail Trail Authority, specifically the Hanover Trolley Trail Project, which is very much in the works right now, and it's very exciting developments going on. As usual, I'm going to give a quick update of what's been happening since the last meeting. And also, I will be remaining after the meeting for anybody that wants to talk to me afterwards. I also brought a stack of the latest newsletter, if anybody hasn't seen it. It's a wonderful, wonderful explanation on the front page of exactly what is the York County Rail Trail Authority and what is its purpose, which is basically the design, funding, and implementation of rail trail development in all of York County. So several years ago, the Heritage Rail Trail from New Freedom up to York City was completed. Once our projects are completed, development, building, totally completed, they're turned over to county parks for management. So we've moved on now to the Hanover Trolley Trail, which absolutely affects us. And then looking at the map, we really have the largest section of the Hanover Trolley Trail. So I'm really proud of that. Now, there's a big section from Spring Grove to Jackson Township, etc. But as far as a contiguous section, the Heidelberg section is really significant in this project. On the inside of our newsletter is an update on the Hanover Trolley Trail and the completed part, which was open for use the end of May, explains that and has pictures, and then an update about the Oil Creek restoration. That's where we are right now. So Oil Creek restoration is occurring right now. As I spoke last month, you can see the huge pieces of gigantic construction equipment, the biggest I've ever seen, that is going down towards the Oil Creek. And about a month ago, we took a walk and saw the project in its development stages. So they had rerouted the water for Oil Creek temporarily, and now they're building with enormous boulders and all kinds of materials, so that eventually when they put the water back in its natural stage, it'll meander in a serpentine fashion like it should, and it didn't anymore because of the erosion. That's what we're trying to mitigate. So all this funding, it also explains the funding, the source of the funding on the front cover, and you should be very interested in that. It's through grants, federal, state, local, and grants from all kinds of places, as well as individual donations. The grasses, some of the aquatic grasses have already been planted and around the Oil Creek restoration area. That's exciting. And I'll end my comments right now, but I do have the map. I can give you more detail. And again, the newsletters, I encourage you to pick one up and see me afterwards for more questions. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Peg.
You're welcome.
Questions? Yes. Oh, comment. Yes, Meg.
Meg Powell, Porter's Road. Couple of questions, comments, I'm hoping that you will address. In April, you all directed the solicitor to put together a letter to the Ethics Commission about the ethics behind having the 501c and the park committee. I'm wondering if anything.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, Matt, I don't think that's my 3 minutes, that's at 2:48.
I actually started you a little late. You had like 20 seconds and then I started you. But it's
You were through.
I think that so my question is, has the solicitor done anything with that, and where are we, because we haven't heard anything from Sandy, I know I turned everything into. Second question,
I have the letter here right now to hand to Sandy, but she's on vacation.
Second question is about communications. I've heard numerous complaints that certain supervisors aren't getting everything they should. If you could please explain the process for distributing information. I know it goes out by teams. I understand it also goes out to Supervisor King by email and in paper. So if you could clarify what some of the problems are with this process and why it's creating an issue here. And then the last thing I'd like to bring up is I would like for the board to consider putting together, for transparency's sake, some sort of committee or something for the people of the township to be able to look into the finances more in depth. You all have year after year been saying that, you know, you're gonna put the audit function out to SEK. What you lose when you do that is the community input into, or the community verification of proper financial procedures. If you all are gonna continue to do that, I think it's important for the township residents to have some level of financial comfort with looking into the way the books are being done. So, I would ask one of you to please put that forward as a motion to create maybe a 3-member board of residents to be able to look into financial considerations. I mean, there are budget considerations. I don't know where we are at the budget. I've been told that report is in process, but I have yet to see it. And it's really an important tool. Thank you.
I can talk a little about communication, that the board manages communication that is given to us both by email and if requested paper copy. I think it's complete and adequate. I think that there's been some confusion on what documents are available to the supervisors, and it includes all of us. And if there's a document that has a social security number on a W-2 form, something like that, then that should not be distributed to the supervisors. That information none of us want. I don't want anyone's social security number. So I think that was the root of the confusion about that. And beyond that, I'm not sure there are any additional issues. Now, there was we're working on some resolutions to help clarify that. They are gonna continue to be on hold because I'm not convinced we need a resolution. I think we wanna make available to all the supervisors, all the documentation that they deserve. If that hasn't happened adequately in the past, I hope that it happens going forward. That's my response to that. The last question, I don't have an answer for. We went many years trying to get audits done by the elected auditors, and we couldn't get enough people to do it. People who knew how to do it. It really caused a lot of questions within the public. Are we doing it properly? And so that's when, looking around at other townships, how other townships do it, the complications of finances today, and the supervisors, at least I thought the best thing to do was to go outside and have it done by a company that has a good reputation, that does other local municipalities, and we've done that, SEK. And those results from that audit are available to the public and can be reviewed and commented on. My thoughts are that we really shouldn't have to do anything beyond that. if there are questions by the public, if something's not done properly, or a change needs to be made in the way we're reporting, we will certainly consider that, and we do have comment period available for that. That's my response.
And when it comes to the audits, we choose who does the audit, but we are not involved, nor do we are involved in any aspect of the audit. It's totally independent, we remain independent of that involvement.
Yeah.
That's not what I asked.
Any comments, Paul?
No.
Okay, any other comments? Yes, Carol.
Kara Winslow, 330 Beacon Road. I wanted to give an update to the supervisors on the July 2nd meeting that the Park and Rec Board had. A couple of things came out of that. Johnston Bell and myself announced that we met with the master planner and also with Springbrook Rec Association concerning the master plan and possibilities for all of that. So we are in the process of putting those notes together, so there'll be more to follow on that. Secondly, we voted, we had a request from the 501c3 for mini dog waste stations, and we debated that and discussed it and made a vote on which ones that we would like to recommend to the supervisors. The 501c3 said that they can afford with the one that we selected to put about 3 or 4 of those stations in. So I do have a copy of that to submit to the supervisors. That is our recommendation. We agree with the 501c3 that we should have those dog waste stations up along the paths, the walking paths. So I'll turn that in to Barb and Judy at the end.
Okay.
And lastly, we were asked to meet early this month because the Board of Supervisors asked for a recommendation for a vacant seat on the board. And it was our intent, it was listed on our agenda that we were going to nominate Terry Lynn Ross as our recommendation for the replacement seat. Supervisor King attended the meeting and was very persuasive, I will say, in urging us not to make one recommendation. So the the Park and Rec Board came up with a list of 3 for you, but it is still our intent that Terry Lynn Ross be the recommended person for that empty seat. The 3-name list that came up and was voted on was Terry Lynn, our alternate Vicky Seneff, and then Dan Wilmot, who was also one of the original requesters. But we would still like to see Terry Lynn as that recommended replacement. Lastly, I guess my question would be for the Board of Supervisors to request some guidance from the solicitor on if this Park and Rec Board is supposed to act autonomously from the Board of Supervisors, can a supervisor come into our meeting and put the thumb on the scale, so to speak, as to what we can and cannot recommend? Because that's happened at the last couple of meetings now, and because the Board of Supervisors are our bosses, we feel compelled to kind of step up to the plate for that. So we are looking for some guidance on just what the rules are for having a supervisor attending those meetings.
Okay. Let me just comment on that last one is that any of the supervisors, all 3 of us even, can come to these meetings because we come as a citizen. We don't come as a supervisor. So, and as a citizen, we all have a right to give our opinion. So, you know, there's nothing that's gonna prevent any of us from coming to any of the meetings, and representing ourselves as a citizen of Heidelberg Township.
Okay, the reason why I ask is because paperwork was submitted during that meeting that went to supervisors only about the creation of the board.
Okay.
And so that, to me, says that Supervisor King was acting in his role as a supervisor, not as a citizen.
Comment, Paul?
Well, the only reason why I brought that information and it was not shared, other than to say verbally, was that the letter that we had received the previous month indicated that there was a vote
and that the person that was recommended had had originally applied for the rec park board. And I simply pointed out that they were not one of the original applicants, but did acknowledge that they were one of the original ones who applied for the alternate position. So, just merely a point of clarification is what I brought up. But I'm glad to hear that I'm becoming more persuasive.
Okay, yeah, yes.
Okay, you're gonna hate me.
Your name and address.
Yes, Sandra Sterling, hyphenated Munoz, this is my husband Vincent. And, I live on Palmadiva Road. And, first of all, I find when you talk, it's like you're talking to yourself. You don't want anybody to hear. I am hard of hearing, she's hard of hearing, I don't know how many more people are. And you need to raise your voice. It sounds like you're talking to each other. I have not a clue as to what you're talking about. And I probably wouldn't if I heard you, but still, okay?
You won't
It's
believe this,
neither
but
here
neither
nor
do
there.
we have to.
Yeah, and the meeting was inconvenient, but apparently it was an off-the-wall meeting that you had to have. Okay, I saw that the wood had been cut on Gitz Run Road, on the corner of 116, is it? And Gitz Road, where you come to the corner and have to make a left or a right, and you can't see right at all. I saw the wood being cut off the trees there. I don't think it was enough brush cut back, because I still have to pull out into the road to get on to that road. Okay, and that's very dangerous, will always be dangerous until they clear that part of the forestry away. Not that I wanna see trees down. I saw a lot of trees down on 116.
160.
Yeah, 116, right across from,
Smith Station.
Smith Station Road, excuse me if I don't remember, I'm old. Anyway, I was gonna pull in and find out what they were doing. Is that part of what you were talking
Yeah,
about?
yes, that's the
Okay.
preparation for the development of the rail trail, and,
Right, but is it a walking trail? Is it a train? Is it what is it?
it's a rail trail, and it will be walking, running, equestrian, bicycling, and, it's similar to the Heritage Rail Trail that's already existing.
I saw the one on Gitzorn Road,
Yeah.
where people can walk.
Yeah, and we're gonna extend that across Gitz Run Road and connect it over to the Genesee and Wyoming rail tracks, and I can explain that. But the trees had to be cut down to get access before the little brown bats nested. But anyhow, it's all gonna be replanted with natives. The design work is incredible. It's gonna be gorgeous when it's finished.
Okay,
It's no condos.
yeah, well,
It's all natural.
it seems like a lot of work to run. I would run through the forest, but
You need to come to my
I will
presentation.
look, I will read that.
Yes.
One other thing,
Doesn't the park have that? Running trails, horse trails, walking trails, and we're right by the park.
This is 11 miles each way, so it's a much different trail. and-
Direction.
okay, one other thing.
Now I have to end it, 3 minutes, I'm sorry, but it wouldn't be
Oh,
fair
you
to
don't
the
wanna
rest.
hear it, huh?
No, it's a
Okay.
Susie, it's a 3-minute rule.
3 minutes.
That little beeper.
Yeah,
All
sorry.
right.
She can't hear the beeper.
Can I raise my
May I
hand again?
respond?
Sure.
So the restoration that's taking place with Oil Creek, there was a section of it that was done, Justin, do you recall when that section, through your father's farm was done? Was that 10, 12 years ago?
That was 06, 07-ish.
Mm-hmm.
It's
So-
over 20 years.
Okay, so if you look at the section, from where they're beginning now, and you can see it along Gritz Run when you get up to the Furman Farm, you can look to your right, you can look to the left, and you can see what it will look like after 20 years of the growth taking place there and so forth. So that's what it will look like, and that's a continuation of the work that was started there.
Okay, Renan.
Renan, the Studio 686 Battery Court. I'm pretty disappointed at the report that we just got from the park board. What happened during that meeting was actually pretty different than what was reported here. There was no vote within the committee to agree on giving Carrie Lynn Ross a preponderance as the candidate that was being pushed forward. 3 people were proposed, that were proposed by the committee. There was at no time a vote taken to rank them. There was no conversation along those lines. We were explicitly told that there had been no conversation before the meeting either. I asked that question directly of the chair, and we were told, no, there was no conversation ahead of time. There was no interaction ahead of time. So whatever happened that might have led to one candidate being the preferred candidate happened either outside of the meeting, which would be a violation of the Sunshine Act, or this is simply being misreported. Either way, this is, I think, pretty substantial. There is a recording of the whole meeting that I would encourage you to look at so that you can verify exactly what happened. I think it's really disturbing that we are in such a small community. You know, half of the people here were there. I don't understand why we would, half of us be at one meeting and show up at another meeting and try to gaslight us into believing and remembering something we did not. I think we really need to look into this.
Okay.
Can I respond to
I,
that?
I would, let me just say this about that. We have not received any official word from the board that anyone was selected. I have not been told that. So I don't know if that answers, your question or the confusion. But we have, the
I was just
idea was that
responding
they
to
were
what you
gonna
said.
recommend, and I have not seen a written recommendation. So, okay. The following names were submitted. Okay, so this is what we got, were these names that were submitted, recommended. Terry Lynn Ross, Vicky Sena, and Dan Wilmot. So that's the recommendations.
Correct, and that is not what Tara just said.
It is what I just said.
Okay.
Now you're gonna gaslight me. We all just heard you, Tara.
All right, let's let it at that. That is the official communication. Thank you, Bart. Yes.
Pat Parrish-Hoff Road, I was at that meeting. We have a group that is just pitted against the supervisors and everything that isn't on their agenda. Renan is part of that. The thing about, that he always talked about working together, peacefulness, they're the ones that cause all the dissension. We were them at one time. We made peace and we worked with the supervisors. It just isn't happening. It doesn't matter what is going on in this community. They dig and dig and dig until the blister festers. We just had a horrible thing that happened on Saturday. How about this community coming together and stop fighting each other? I am sick of it. Stop looking gaslighting. There is no gaslighting. None. It's just they're looking for reasons to stir the pot, and something needs to be done to bring this to a halt. Work with us or go to heck home.
Can I respond
Let
to that? I was
me
addressed.
respond to that.
I was addressed.
Okay.
No, I named you. I
Yes,
didn't address you.
Okay.
well, you also
I
addressed
wanna
me.
respond to
Well,
it.
you did.
This is inflaming it right now. We've got to work together. We, talk to each other outside of the meeting. Resolve your issues outside of the meeting. Come to agreements on things. I know this has been going on for several years now, and I'm very encouraged today after our meeting before this, that we're turning a new page, and we are gonna start cooperating as a township, please. Please, talk to each other, work it out ahead of time, be cordial. Have a beer with somebody, or whatever, that's what.
Yeah,
Oh.
folks, this isn't about Democrat, Republican, Independent. If we worry about that stuff at this level in local government, we're gonna extinguish ourselves. We're a community of people. Your political differences are really of no concern of, it's yours. Take your aggressions and take your problems to the voting booth. That's where you make the change. So, but what I want you to understand is we're in a position where half of yous are always gonna be happy and half of us are always gonna be mad, because we can't make everybody happy, but we do wanna listen to you, we do wanna, we wanna be a part of making it better, but it has to be everybody collectively, so.
Yeah, so, I agree with all that, of course, but, on the other hand, a report from a committee that is designed to make recommendations cannot change the recommendation that was made when they had their committee meeting, their board meeting. If the recommendation was made for 3 people to be recommended, with no particular person being given any kind of preference or special rating, then it should not be reported that way. And the people who were at that meeting, who witnessed that, should come forward and make that point known. And I also would say that the members of the board should make it known. Maybe not here at this meeting, it certainly would be okay, but certainly at their next meeting, they should question how was that recommendation altered or changed from what we voted on. And as a matter of fact, if you looked at my agenda, I have an agenda item that deals with how the reports should come to the Board of Supervisors. So I'm hoping that the board will consider that, and that will clear up some of the confusion about how the recommendations come to the Board of Supervisors.
Thank you all. Yes.
Hi, I'm short, I think. First of all, whoever dreams up these meetings in the middle of the afternoon, when everyone's working, I still say it should be later in the evening when people get home from work and have a chance to talk. This is nothing, it's ridiculous. And Paul, you probably can answer this. When we complained about the 35 miles an hour on a dead-end street, a 1/10 of a mile, they came in and put down 2 big, fat, white marks on the road. What is that? These 2 big white strips on the road. What is that supposed to prove?
That's the space required to determine the speed that the car is traveling. Local police forces are not allowed to use radar in Pennsylvania. So they use,
They just time it.
Invisalign.
They time it.
Police?
Yeah.
What police? We have like 2 in the county. What police? I haven't seen a
Well-
policeman on the street.
well, that's what the lines are there for. So they
Well,
have to be the ones
I
discussing
had
it.
no idea what the lines were for, and I had not seen nothing.
So-
They're still doing 35 miles an hour.
So the 35 miles an hour, as
Is
we
what
have,
the sign says. You said it was too expensive to put up a new sign. that says 25 miles an hour.
So what, I'm sorry that, I wasn't clearer when I made that statement. What's expensive is the traffic study that would be required to lower the speed limit.
Well, I
And in many
think,
cases, PennDOT does not lower the speed limits.
I think a road that short and dead ends with a roundabout should be no more than 25 miles an
One at a
hour.
I have a
time, one at a
question
time.
about this.
And it's.
She's my
I'm her
neighbor.
It's
neighbor.
okay, I understand.
Okay.
But one at a
Well,
time.
Go on with
All right,
Susie.
go.
No,
Okay.
stand up, Susie.
She's
Stand
done.
up.
She's done.
Susie, we need your name, please.
Oh, Susan Kelleher, Hamadiva Road.
Okay.
Okay.
Why does
Ma'am.
PennDOT,
Name
dawn
and
me, Pam
Please
Adiva.
stand.
Why does PennDOT have anything to do with Pam Adiva's road? I know Smith Station is a state road, but why does PennDOT have to, why do they even have to survey it? I don't understand this. Why can't a sign with all the kids walking from the bus,
Yeah, well, she didn't get her for
Yeah.
minutes. Yeah.
why can't they
The
just?
answer to that is that they require it, that's
I
what
don't
the state rules
understand, cause
are.
all developments are like 15 and 25. I
Yeah.
don't know why we just can't have 25. They did sit a speed thing there that registers your, it was a light. I don't know what
What is
that,
it?
I don't know what that even did, cause it didn't even trigger anything until they
Yeah.
had it sitting there for 2 weeks, so,
We have the report that was based on that.
do you have the
Yeah,
report? What-
we'd be more than happy to give it to you, do you have a?
And I'm sure nobody sped because they saw that light and thought, we'll just go slow, you know?
No.
It scares
It
them.
didn't stop them. All it said was 35
Yeah,
When
but
you
they
said, when you said light, was there a sign there that
It was-
said your speed is
It was
this?
out right from 64
Okay,
to 7
so they
across.
also have a hidden camera that they can put on a pole or a sign. They did this last year. And that device tracks it gets you coming and going. And, it basically allows them to you're basically hidden. And that device reported that less than 1% of the cars going through there on Panadiva were speeding.
Well, this,
And the highest car, I think, was 45 or maybe 55, and
That's the one.
and I thought they got a license plate number of that car
That-
actually.
I hope they got it.
But, there's a detailed report on what the study was on that road. We can have another one put up.
I wish they would have a hidden one because this thing was this big. And really, it wouldn't even kick on, because when I went by it, now I know I'm slower than that because my house is the second house on the left. So it's probably not even gonna kick on for me.
So if the sign
is
was
there any
there,
right-
the sign was there reminding them about the speed before they physically come in there with their car and start doing it and arresting people.
It still
So
says
No,
35
it was the-
typically, they'll warn you before they come in and they set up and actually do physical.
And it was the
traffic.
second house from the right end, so they'll pull in there and then probably till they got past there, they probably zoomed it. And it probably didn't even register all them, correct? See?
I don't know, I'm sure there's something of a failure right there, but.
I just worry about the kids. We
If
have
there's
so many
lines on your
kids.
road, which are new,
So
I'm
many
sure,
kids.
that means they're planning to go in there and do speed enforcement. So I would let them carry out their plan and see what happens.
I mean, I actually saw a car leaving our development, because I heard her sped by, where there was kids walking. The car in front of her was going too slow. They were probably at least going 35. And she zooms around them, and I'm thinking, if a kid would have been over there, I mean, I just hope it doesn't come to things changing
I
with
mean,
somebody getting
where I
hurt.
live on Mill Road, if your cars go that fast by my house, sometimes I'm sitting in my chair moves. I'm exaggerating a little
But are
bit.
you
I
on-
feel like it does.
Are you on a development, like?
No, my house is like right out along the road, and it's
Yeah,
like
I
when
could
they
see
come
like
by
a
there,
road.
sometimes it's like, I feel my chair move, but.
Oh, can I say one more thing while I'm up, since
I'm
I
sorry.
started on hers real quick? I just wanna know, I ain't gonna get into taxes.
3 minutes, I'm sorry.
If you stayed after the meeting, you
Yeah,
can.
he's our police representative, so
I'd be
Oh,
happy to answer
good,
your question.
cause I wanna get
Yes.
corn sent from you too.
Other comments today? Gloria?
I am sitting here debating speaking up because it's important to me to have cohesive relationships. However, I'm gonna speak for myself and say when it comes to selecting a board member for the Park and Rec Board, I am open to anyone who is interested in being a team player and us starting
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, thank you for that, and I agree with that. Yes,
Hi, Tom Fernandez, 3840 Silver Spur Drive in York. I'm here representing the Cador's chapter of Trout Unlimited. Chairman Hansen's familiar with our work.
absolutely. Tom is one of the guys that helped us acquire the 132 acres, for us. Thank you, Tom.
For those of you that aren't familiar with us, we are a local chapter of a national organization. We've been down here in the area since like 1988, and we just do a whole variety of things in the interest of the creek down there and the landowners. The reason we're here today, we maintain a couple of signboards down along the creek, or we used to at least, and they just contain information like the Fish and Boat Commission's special regulations, some information on an invasive species that's present in the creek, some emergency numbers to report pollution or fish kills, things like that. Those signboards, you know, the elements have taken their toll over the years, and we would like to replace them. One of them used to be up past the sawmill along the road, and because that area upstream of that has now been posted and nobody goes up there, it's kind of a low traffic area now, and we don't necessarily wanna put another one up there. So we were looking for another location, and we were hoping to possibly erect one right down here, at the two bridges behind the fire hall, on the park property. Just to give you some idea of what we have in mind, it would be pretty simple, just the two, 4x4 pressure treated posts. Rather than using wood to make them more weather resistant, we're planning on using 12-inch wide like fascia board, composite fascia board like you use for a deck, so that we can replace it if necessary. The color's guaranteed for 50 years or something like that. But, and it would be, some kind of earth tone that would kind of blend in. It wouldn't be some big, glaring white eyesore or anything like that. The location that we picked is far enough off the road that it wouldn't interfere with any kind of snow plowing or anything like that. It's set back quite a bit. What little maintenance it would require, our guys would take care of. We're down here all the time, so any, vines climbing up it or weeds getting too high in front of it, we'd take care of that. It's gonna be a scout project. They're gonna do the construction, both of them under the supervision of somebody with construction experience. And, what I was hoping to do today is just, get permission to put it down there.
Okay, I'm all for that. Paul?
Yep. Yeah, were you the gentleman that came to our rec park board meeting and I spoke with after as you left?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. As he pointed out,
Yeah, we're gonna have to end it, I'm sorry.
Okay, well, can we talk?
So, I, based on the description of where he wanted to put the signs, I thought it was North Cadorus Township.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. You have to be careful, or, property of the Myers farm. We'll have to look at that closely.
Yeah, there's a farm entrance, an entrance to the field there that he
Yeah.
uses to go in and out. We're between that and the bridges.
Okay, well, let's just make sure that our zoning officer, reviews it, to the GIS map, make sure it's okay, but I think we were all.
Or even meet with him. down
Meet
there.
with him, that'd be good, yeah.
And I have no objection to placing the sign in Heidelberg Township. So,
Yeah.
I was just wondering, 'cause it seems like the parcel goes over to the Myers
Yeah.
property, but the property line's the creek, so.
Okay, so we gotta go. All right, any other comments today? Very good. Moving on. Thank you all. I'd like to make a motion to approve June Board of Supervisors meeting minutes. So is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
aye.
Aye. I'm gonna announce that archery permits will be available at the Township Building for the 2024-2025 season, August 1st, 2024. And will again be on a first come, first served basis. These are, just for residents of Heidelberg Township. Public safety, go ahead, Chris.
Fire report for the month of June. We had 16 calls, 10 of which were in Heidelberg, 2 in North Dolores, 2 in Manheim, 1 in Penn, 1 in Spring Grove Borough. We had no fire loss for the month. We averaged 5 firefighters per call, which kept us at average 5 for the year. We had 7 members for maintenance night, 14 man hours. Your fuel report is attached. Is included there. We were dispatched to 2 residential structure fires, 3 fire alarms, 3 auto accidents with injuries, 3 with no injuries, 1 wire down, 3 outside brush fires, and 1 water rescue, which was successful. We were canceled prior to response once, canceled en route once. We went to work 4 times. Engine 1 was out 9 times, engine 2 was out 5 times, the brush and the utility were each out 3 times. And I don't know where it missed it, but the UTV, the Polaris, was on the water rescue. So we did run a call with the Polaris to give that 2 for the year. To go back to that water rescue a little bit and give an update, we have taken delivery from the dealer of our rescue boat. It's a 16-foot inflatable. It is currently at F&S to have the motor mounted and such, and we hope to have it back by the weekend to start training on the 20th, and we're looking to be in service with the boat in August. That water rescue that was successful, we got to the Smith Station launch with the Polaris, and we watched the Ranger boat come out of the boathouse. And then we waited 5 to 10 minutes for the next boat to pick us up. They didn't have the staffing, they had a boat pilot. We boarded their boat to assist with our 2 swimmers that were on that day. If we would have had our boat, we would have been the first on the water and had the rescue performed probably 5 minutes earlier than it happened. So that was proof in the pudding that this boat's gonna work out. And as my very well respected assistant chief said, this probably should have happened 30 years ago. We have, your personnel reports and call breakdown is attached to the report. We are undergoing renovations to the social hall and the kitchen. We're replacing, I know a couple months ago we had to replace our convection ovens. Well, it was also discovered, well not discovered, realized that all of the appliances in the firehouse were pretty much original to the firehouse being rebuilt. And some of them, such as our fryers, were relocated from the old firehouse. So we're in the process of updating our appliances, the kitchen floor is being redone, we had our grease trap replaced, and I believe here in the next month or so, the social hall floor is being redone with new epoxy. All this is totaling out to pushing about $150,000 expenses. We're hoping to have that all repaid in a 3-year time frame. So that concludes fire report. For EMS, Wellspan EMS responded to 31 calls in Heidelberg Township in May, and in June was 21 calls.
Okay, thanks, Chris. While we're on Porter's Fire Company, I'd like to make a motion to authorize payment of $50,000, a donation to Porter's Fire Company to be used for miscellaneous expenses. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Northern York County Regional
I
Police.
have a
Yep.
report, yeah. I threw something together since nobody showed up here. June, for Heidelberg Township, 92 calls for service. June of 2023 to this year, they were at 94, so we're kind of tracking right there. Year to date, 521 calls, and last year at this time we were at 530 for the date. Criminal investigations assigned for June 3, criminal investigations closed was 3, and criminal arrests were 2. They had 49 issued citations and 18 faulty equipment cards for the month of June. Year to date, 16 arrests, criminal investigations assigned 16, cleared 15, criminal arrests 27. And year to date traffic citations, 251 citations issued, 58 faulties.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Is that it?
Yep.
Planning and zoning?
We received 9 permit applications, issued 4 building permits, 3 zoning permits. 2 applications are still pending. We collected $760 in June.
Okay.
Somebody should eat lunch before they.
Yes. Okay,
Code enforcement?
code enforcement.
2 properties with significant progress and improvements, 2 with no progress, notice of violations are forthcoming on those properties, and still 2 properties that I can't find the owners.
Okay. Finance, motion to approve June's treasurer's report. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion to approve June's bill pay report. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Okay. A motion to accept May office maintenance activity report. Do we hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'm not gonna go through and read all those rates and everything, that's sort of fruitless. We got 10 new requests, but this list is available to you all. We're responding to rates and those as they come in. I'd like to make a motion to authorize the chairman of the board to execute a release of all claims and demands in the amount of $27.79 for replacement of a Heidelberg Township sign that was damaged by an accident at York Road and Dagan Road. This is the allowable amount being paid by the insurance company. Do I hear a second to that?
Is that one of those signs where it's like township and says,
It's the blue and white Heidelberg Township sign, welcome to Township. There was an accident that started in Penn at Deegan and York, took out their signs, took out our township sign, and then took out the railroad gate. And the problem is that they had minimum insurance coverage, and what is left for us to replace our sign is $27 of the $114 cost. Because the railroad gate was quite expensive and basically ate up their entire insurance policy.
Second.
second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I appreciate your stance on the right to know, but we should still accept the report.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I
Make a motion to accept the report.
do. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks for that, Paul. Highways, roads, and streets, Chris?
Sycamore Drive has been completed. We're waiting on the reimbursement for the grant. There is, when I say completed, I mean the grant work is done. We've had one rain. Since the work was completed, we have a low spot, which we're gonna fix on our own, with minimal expense. Coal patch, we were, completed on High Rock, again. Locust, Cannery, Hayrick, and Trolley. Boom mowing continues on all the township roads. The Liberty Road, Shelburne Lane, and Acorn and Van Cleve, as well as Oakwood, all that work that was put out for bid, has been completed as contracted. And is this still me, Bart? The PID loan was successfully submitted for High Rock.
Alright,
And that is in the amount of $300,000.
Actually, it's $497,000. Yeah. It's looking at the estimate, revised by about 10% with recommendation of PennDOT and thrown in stormwater drains, which the engineer hadn't put a dollar amount to. And talking to the gentleman at PennDOT, we have like 15,000 between these $1.
So what would be the payout term, the years, 10 years?
I don't know.
Thank you.
Let's see, recreation, nothing from the engineer, recreation, so I, am gonna turn this over to Matt.
Okay, well, I think, seems to be a great, deal of discussion in all of this. So I've, we have a lot of great candidates, but in the interest of fairness, I've thought about this, a lot. Interest of fairness, it only makes sense to move Vicky up onto the board seat and move Dan into the, alternate, because they were on the list next. So Vicky's on the list, and she is on deck, and so she's up, and, Dan had, submitted as well last fall. So in the interest of fairness, those two need it, that's my recommendation, and Terry Lynn goes on deck for the next vacancy. So, and then I also move that we set precedents that we only appoint vacancies at the reorg meeting, once a year, unless the board fails to meet quorum. Because we have a lot of business to get over every month, and having to decide for 3 months who's doing what is not getting productive. So I would set that precedence that we move to do that. But my motion is to move Vicky into the board seat to fill Nick, and to have Dan Wilmot on as the alternate, and Terry then goes on deck.
Do we hear a second?
Second,
All in favor?
discussion.
Yep, go ahead.
So, Vicky would have to resign effective today, before we could appoint another alternate. Is that correct, Mr. Soltis?
I think that makes sense, Paul.
Okay. So,
So upon
change the motion to.
upon Vicky's resignation, we appoint Dan Wilmot, and,
Appoint Vicky.
that's the motion.
All right.
Second.
Can we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are you done with?
Yep.
That's it, yeah.
I would like to say something on the recreation. So I understand that, we were given rules and regs, that were worked on by the Rec Park Board, and thank you all for your work. I do believe that the current rules and regulations were established by ordinance. And if we were to change the rules and regulations, I believe it would have to be done by ordinance. Is that correct, since there's fines and imprisonment suggested in these rules and regulations, wouldn't it have to be an ordinance?
You update the ordinance, or?
Okay, so I don't have the ordinance in front of me. What I recall is that the board established a certain number of rules, and that I think it charged the rec board to come up with other rules to be approved by the Board of Supervisors. So, but if those rules are different, than the established rules by the ordinance, then obviously an ordinance change would be required. So, is that your question?
Yes, that's my question. So, will we have that, this is for Tim and Matt, will we have that on our agenda to consider these rules, have a discussion, and then move to instruct the solicitor to draft the orders? The other thing I understand was that some bylaws were drafted by the rec park board. I haven't received any copies of those, and I'm not sure. Oh, that's incorrect?
That is incorrect.
All right, thank you.
All that was put out was a listing of ideas for the park board to review based on other municipality bylaws that were similar in scope to our board. So
Okay.
that was passed out to our board members to review. At our next meeting, it's up for discussion.
All right, thank you for that clarification. That's all.
Okay. Water. Second quarter water bills were mailed out 5/30/2024 with a new service fee of $80 in effect. Second quarter water bills were due June 30, 2024, and we currently have 6 delinquent accounts. 3 of those are carrying balances from quarter 1. The CDBG grant for water service feasibility study has been awarded. How much was that? Rough. We'll get it. I'm
So
sorry.
that's the second grant that's awarded.
That's the second one, that's the first one was like 113,000. I think the second one's 20 or 25.
Okay, sorry to put you on the spot.
That's okay, I just didn't know.
Yeah.
That's good stuff there, thank you.
That's good stuff. Water committee appointments. Where did we let off on that last?
We tabled it because we were looking at the qualifications, one has to be resident, and one is supervisor, and one has knowledge of the water system.
Yeah, and I had thought that we would, since we had 3 interested residents, that we would install 3 residents and let the supervisor option or as an alternate as agent, or to be installed as needed or called upon as needed.
Your resolution calls for 3 members, and each of those categories. So you can't put the label in that don't fit this category.
It's really the missing one is the supervisor.
Or change your resolution.
Or change the resolution.
Allow for 3 and the supervisor.
Well, that's what I
As
would do.
needed.
That's what you recommend? Paul, you recommend that?
I don't know.
I mean,
What-
I'm 50-50 over it, I mean, obviously the person to do that would be me, but I have enough on my plate, and I feel that any questions or concerns that the water committee or board would have could go through the channels of it, and any of us
Yeah.
for questions. So, we do need to get them installed sooner than later to at least 2 people and get moving with it, because we have monies and grants and stuff.
Well, we won't even get the paperwork for that till October. So it's gonna most likely happen next year. But yeah, you want to get everything.
And I think moving into, some discussion with Paul wants to have later, which is rates and fees, that's another thing that, you know, we need to really
Yeah, I don't have,
look at.
I don't have an objection to changing the resolution, if that's what you wanna do. But that will take up another month
Yeah.
at least.
So do you wanna appoint 2 this month, and then,
Can we do that? Or should we just wait till the resolution's changed? I think we should. Yeah, that's what I think too. Right? Yeah.
okay, change it and.
All right, so we need a motion for that? Can we make that motion? Cause it wasn't necessarily, well,
It's been on.
It's been on the agenda. I'd like to make the motion that we rewrite the resolution to make the third member not, worded, doesn't have to be a supervisor. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 So the appointment, or the appointments to the water committee can be made at the same meeting that you change the resolution. So
Okay, good.
it could be-
Yeah, we'll put it on the agenda. Okay, very good.
And the three that are listed
So we're gonna need a
now-
third.
Well, you have three.
Oh, we do.
Our mental application.
Okay, all right. Good. Then we're good.
So we'll just move to appoint those three.
All right, it looks like Paul's up. Paul?
Mr. Solicitor,
Oh, I'm sorry, solicitor. I'm sorry.
I thought I got a promotion there.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Solicitor.
So I only have one item, it's not an action item, it's simply to announce that the Board of Supervisors met in executive session today from 11 o'clock AM to 11:51 to discuss personnel matters relating to township employees under section 708A1 of the Sunshine Act.
Okay, thank you. Now you're up, Paul.
Thank you. I'd like to make a little change to my agenda, and I believe it falls under the allowances, being that the incident occurred Saturday in Pennsylvania. So it was after agenda items had to be submitted, and what I'm suggesting is of a de minimis nature. And I understand that there's been a GoFundMe page established for the victims, the deceased as well as the survivors. So I would ask that the township contribute money to that GoFundMe page for those people. And the amount of 100, 200, up to what, 500, you guys decide.
So Paul, I don't want to disagree with you.
I'll be okay with that.
You had like one agreement today, that was good, now we're gonna go into disagreement. Because it involves expenditure of township funds, it needs to be on the agenda, and it cannot be amended, so.
So I thought by de minimis, it meant the amount of money as well.
I think de minimis is generally considered like $50.
Oh, okay, we'll put it on next
We'll
month.
just put it on next month.
Thank you.
I'm in favor.
So, thank you for your disagreement.
Paul, it's up to $3 million, I heard already.
Yeah, I think it, and that's why, anyone here who wants to privately donate, that's fine. But I think as a township, it would be nice to stand, together with that. So, I would like the Board of Supervisors to accept, and acknowledge the receipt of the 22 audit. Make a motion to do that.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So, with that audit, I wanna go back to the 21 audit and just point out that, for the water fund, it was in arrears $1,994 in 21. In 22, the report we just received, it's in arrears $5,992. So each year it seems to be getting further and further in the hole. I just wanted to point that out to when we get to my agenda item. My second agenda item, I would like to make a motion that it be tabled.
Yeah?
Okay.
You gonna second that, please?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So, my next item, establish new company water rates. I know there's been an increase this year. What I would also like to show everyone and make available to you is based on an RTK that I filed. I've put together a spreadsheet on 2019 expenses for the water company. 2019 was the year we acquired the water company and had to make certain improvements, etc. We did not collect any water rate money until 2020. So all of these expenses in 2019 were not covered other than by general fund or the COVID monies. So I've put my phone number on here for anyone who wants to get a copy of this. If you want to give me a call, I'll show you the invoices. So these are the invoices that are on this spreadsheet. The spreadsheet was devised by the invoices as well as the treasurer's report for 2019. So Tim and Matt, there's your copy. Would you please pass one to Barbara? So if anybody want,
Can we back up to 2019?
yeah, we're 219.
Where was the billing? Where was that at? I mean, was there a reason it wasn't collected? Do we know that?
Yeah, because the official start of the wasn't until 2020.
Okay.
And I do note on here that in September of 2020, the township received $10,424.89 from the water co-op.
That's right.
So our total expenses in 2019, less the money received from the co-op, is $36,977. That's a lot of money. I understand it had to be spent. I wish we would have addressed the issue earlier. I'll take 1/3 responsibility on that. But right now, that 37,000 that we're in the hole on, and you add the 2,000 for 21, you add the 6,000 for 22, it's not gonna get any better in 23, and then all of that debt expense is being smacked up against what'll be our matching funds for our grants. So we're gonna be close, unfortunately, somewhere between $80,000 to $100,000 by the time that's all done for the water company. Again, has to be done. We have to make the improvements. We can't expect these residents to continue on as they have. So I would just like to have a discussion, an open discussion with the township and the board on recouping some of this money. We can take our time, but I think it's something we should at least discuss. And if the general feeling is that you just you don't want to recoup it, then that's fine, you don't want to recoup it. But had we addressed this issue back in 2020, we could have already have gotten the money back. And it would not have been over a 4-year period, a grave burden on the people that are being serviced by that. So I'm again going to table this, make a motion to table it. This can be a discussion we can have in the future on what a new rate would be. Again, once the money is recouped, you can eliminate that charge, that surplus, that surcharge, and bring it down to where it just covers the annual expenses. I've always stated that I was not interested in the township making money on the water company customers, but that we have to get some of our money back.
Paul, I appreciate your wanting to table that. And I do think we needed some more dialogue to look at this. I appreciate your work and effort that must have went into this, because, I mean, this is good stuff. But I still don't think the rate is, you know, I have to be the bad guy here, but I think $50 a month as a water service fee is, that would take it to $150 a quarter, would be more realistic. And, you know, like you said, we can tone things down once the expenses paid up or whatever, but,
He stated $50 per quarter.
$50 per,
Per quarter.
he said, rate it up to, so
Increase
it's
existing
80
rate.
now, he wants to go to 130, and I'm saying go to 150.
Okay, I see.
So,
Well,
and it's
Yeah.
cheaper than,
Yeah,
it's
no,
cheaper
I'm
than
with you.
anything.
I agree.
You know.
Thanks for putting this together, and we gotta be in the block.
But, yeah.
so
it's- I would like to discuss this with Heather and a few other of the residents, but I mean, I think anybody's gonna agree, it's gotta be there, it's gotta be
Yeah.
maintained. And it's not terrible to, you know, it's not a terrible,
Certainly something can be understood.
you know. Okay?
thank you.
Yeah.
So is that a second on my
Motion to
motion?
table. Do I have a
Second.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So, warning to registered voters. In the last 2-3 elections, as you all know, I usually try to work the polls, the voting poll. We've had several, at least a half a dozen to maybe 10 people during those last 3 elections who came down there to vote and who could not vote because they weren't registered. And what had happened, they claimed, every one of them claimed that they had registered when they got their driver's license, or they changed their party affiliation when they got their driver's license. And I'm just saying, if that's how you got your voter registration done, double check with the voter office in York County, because we want you to vote. We want everybody to vote, and we don't want people coming down there who might not be able to do that because the driver license people don't. There's a reason why the voter board doesn't give out driver's license, and there should be a reason why the driver license plate doesn't give out voter information. So please, just double check it before we come to this very important
have the
election
number?
this year.
There is a way to do it online.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I don't go online.
The way to do it online, I'm a reporter, I'm not injecting myself, but as someone who believes in voting and democracy, the Pennsylvania Department of State, see me after the meeting, I can show you the site. And if you know your date of birth and address, and it'll tell you your polling place, your ward, your everything. Anyways, sorry.
And
I used to work for the Department of State, so
Okay, thank you
know
for the
things.
comment.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Okay.
Paul, you have the number, I don't have.
Yeah,
a
I'll get
computer.
you, I'll call you with the phone.
Okay, thank you.
So, this next one, I feel like, this meeting's been very respectful. The last few, the last several haven't. And I felt that some way to take away so since we control the 3-minute time period, and we establish the time period that people can speak, maybe if people speak out of turn, we should reduce that time. And I think that if one person gets a reduction one time, they probably won't do it again. So, again, this is just a way to try to bring some order to the meeting. So I'm gonna move, being that we all were very respectful today, I'm gonna move that we table that.
Second?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and exactly.
The next one, fines to chairman and supervisors. I move that we table that.
Second.
Second, thank you, Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We can behave ourselves, we don't need to police ourselves. We just need to
Well,
be together.
We can
some of
disagree,
us have to
disagree.
work on it a little harder than others, and I'll keep working on it.
No trouble.
So, this resolution here, I'd like to move forward with this one. Any report or recommendation coming from a township board or committee is to be presented to the Board of Supervisors in a public meeting. The board or committee is to provide copies to the township office in advance of the meeting, so that copies are made available to the BOS and township staff for review before the meeting. I move that we authorize the solicitor to draft this resolution.
Any comments, solicitor, on that?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So then my last item, Tim,
Yeah.
there you go, Matt. So, we were supposed to get copies of the minutes of the rec park boards, and we hadn't, so I filed an RTK, I got them, and now Tim and Matt have their copies as well. So, that's all I have there.
Okay, thank you for doing that, Paul.
Mr. Chairman, there's someone in the back.
Yeah,
I take responsibility for that. I actually need all your email addresses. I actually have a note written here. I need your email
Yeah.
addresses to email you the minutes.
Barb has them. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
my apologies.
The resolution is to go to the office. The office has to have them,
Yeah.
because they have to archive them and keep them.
So it wasn't my.
So,
Follow the resolution.
we'll draft the resolution and they go to.
We're,
Yep.
Okay.
we're not looking to point blame here.
I just want to take responsibility if there was something I was gonna do.
Okay,
And all the minutes are posted online, too, after they're approved.
Vicky,
okay, Vicky, yes.
While we're on the rec park committee, so as I was the alternate, I didn't see any of the information that was given before, because they said that's how we're gonna do it. So, like these bylaws and things like that, so when would I get a copy of this stuff? Okay.
You'll
I
get
just-
all, you'll get it all,
Okay,
Yep.
good, thank you.
right?
Staff didn't get it, I can't give what we don't have either. We have been providing her with everything we have.
Okay, so we
So
wanna
if we
make
go
sure
back to
that
the process
all
for
this
everything
information is
submitted to the staff, so we can get it out there, then we do have to do that.
okay. Okay, no old business, no new business, upcoming meetings.
There's one piece of old business. I was expecting
yes.
to hear an update about the review of the deed of the property
Oh.
up for discussion that may be gifted or
Yeah.
transferred from
For the-
Heidelberg Township to
yeah,
Rail
yeah.
Trail Authority. And my understanding was the solicitor was gonna look at the deed and then a resolution be made, and we're kinda in limbo about
Yeah,
that.
understood.
I talked to Glenn,
Mhm.
Glenn got me a letter,
Letter.
which I forwarded to him, I
Right.
just got it
Yep.
yesterday, I
Yep.
believe it was. She sent it to me, it's been forwarded to him, and we're working on
Yep.
having a discussion with him.
All right, cause the engineers are working on a design for the
No, I
bridge.
understand. Yep, we,
Over from the parking lot,
moving on it.
okay.
It's work in progress.
I don't disagree with Paul's motion last month, so as everything checks out.
be the best to kind
This is just an organizational thing. I think that Peg and Tara and any other person who's a chairman giving a report should not be limited to 3 minutes.
I agree.
That should not be in
I
public
agree.
comment.
I agree.
Thank you.
It's, I believe Andy's now the chairman?
Yeah, I relinquished my role as chairperson of zoning, but this is are you talking about my role as Heidelberg Township representative?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
I believe that.
But it should be extended to the park report as well, I think we should.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, because, okay, thank you.
We'll make it an agenda item and
Yeah.
it can be as long as you need. Okay.
Thanks, Paul.
Planning Commission, meets July 17, 2024, 6 P M at the Township Building. Zoning Hearing Board, July 31st, 2024 meeting at 7 P M has been canceled due to lack of business. Board of Supervisors, regularly scheduled meeting August 7, 2024, back to 6 P M and at the Porter's Fire Hall. And the Rec Board will meet next August 20, 2024, 6 P M at the Township Building. And with that, I'd like to make the motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.